What if some movies opened doors that were meant to stay closed? Imagine this. During filming, the sets burn to the ground for no apparent reason. Actors die one by one under mysterious circumstances, and shadows appear on the film that weren't there during the shoot. This isn't a horror movie script. These are real reports from movie sets. Today, we are breaking down the top 10 films that are considered genuinely cursed. We'll go behind the scenes of The Exorcist, where 9 people died, and uncover the terrifying price the cast of Poltergeist paid for using actual human skeletons on camera. But before we start this eerie marathon, drop a comment and let me know. Which horror movie scared you for the first time? And where are you watching from? Let's see where our bravest viewers live. Subscribe if you aren't afraid to learn the truth the studios tried to hide for decades. Number 10. The Omen, 1976. Number 10 is perhaps the most famous curse production in history, The Omen. From the very first day, it felt like something or someone didn't want this movie about the Antichrist to be made. While filming, the lead actor Gregory Peck and executive producer Mace Neufeld were on separate planes, both of which were struck by lightning. But that was just the beginning. The boldness of the curse reached a terrifying peak after filming ended. The special effects supervisor, John Richardson, the man responsible for the famous decapitation scene in the movie, was involved in a horrific car accident in Holland. His assistant was killed in a way that mirrored the exact decapitation scene Richardson had created for the film. The most chilling part? The accident happened near a road sign that read, Omen 66.6 kilometers. Behind the scenes, the crew was so terrified that they brought in actual exorcists to bless the set. Here's a haunting fun fact. Gregory Peck had taken the role to deal with the grief of his own son's recent suicide, only to find himself surrounded by real-life death throughout the production. Number 9. Poltergeist 1982. Number 9 is the legendary Poltergeist curse, a series of tragedies so consistent they defied all logic. Over the course of the trilogy, 4 lead actors died. Most famously, young Heather O'Rourke, the face of the franchise, died at just 12 years old before the third film was even released. The boldness of this tragedy is often blamed on a single controversial decision made by the production team. To save money and add realism, the crew used actual human skeletons during the iconic swimming pool scene instead of plastic props. The cast wasn't told until after the scene was filmed. Actors believed they had desecrated the dead, and the vengeance followed quickly. Behind the scenes, actor Will Sampson, who was a real-life shaman, reportedly performed an actual exorcism on the set at night to get rid of the bad energy. It didn't work. Fun fact, JoBeth Williams, who played the mother, claimed that every night she went home from the set, the pictures on her walls were crooked, no matter how many times she straightened them. Number 8 is the tragic masterpiece The Crow, 1994. This film was supposed to be the breakout role for Brandon Lee, the son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, but instead it became his tomb. The story follows a man who returns from the dead to avenge his and his fiance's murder, but the darkness of the plot bled into reality in the most horrific way imaginable. During the filming of a scene where Brandon's character is shot, a real bullet was somehow lodged in the prop gun. When the blank was fired, it propelled the lead tip into Brandon's abdomen. He died hours later in surgery, just days before he was set to marry his fiancée. The boldness of this tragedy is fueled by the eerie parallels to his father's death. Bruce Lee had died young under mysterious circumstances, and in his last film, Game of Death, he actually played an actor who was shot on set by a real bullet. Behind the scenes, the production of The Crow was plagued by disasters from day one. A carpenter was severely burned when his crane hit power lines, a disgruntled employee drove a car into the studio's backlot, and a massive storm destroyed the sets. Here's a chilling fun fact. Some crew members felt the set was so dark that they refused to work after midnight. After Brandon's death, the film was finished using digital effects and body doubles, making it a literal ghost story captured on celluloid. To this day, fans believe a Lee family curse claimed Brandon before he could reach his prime. Number 7. The Exorcist, 1973. Number 7 is the film that defined modern horror and terrified a generation, The Exorcist. This movie didn't just scare the audience, it seemed to haunt everyone involved in making it. The production was supposed to take 6 months, but it took a year because of a series of unexplained events. The most famous incident occurred early on when a bird flew into a circuit box, causing a fire that burned down the entire set of the McNeil house, except for one room, the bedroom where the exorcism takes place. That room remains completely untouched by the flames. The boldness of the Exorcist curse is measured in body counts. At least 9 people associated with the production died during or shortly after filming, including actors Jack Magarin and Vasiliki Maliaros, whose characters also died in the movie. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere was so thick with dread that director William Friedkin brought in a Jesuit priest, Father Thomas Birmingham, to perform a formal blessing of the entire set to calm the terrified cast and crew. Here's a wild fun fact. During the film's premiere, the tension was so high that many audience members fainted or vomited, and one woman even sued the studio, claiming the subliminal images in the film caused her to fall and break her jaw. Ellen Burstyn, who played the mother, suffered a permanent spinal injury during a scene where she was thrown to the floor, a scream of genuine pain that was kept in the final cut of the movie. Number 6 is Roman Polanski's masterpiece of paranoia, Rosemary's Baby. This film, about a woman forced to give birth to the son of Satan, seemed to trigger a sequence of real-life horrors that are almost too dark to believe. The movie was filmed at the Dakota Building in New York, a place already whispered to be haunted. Shortly after the film's release, the composer, Krzysztof Komeda, died from a brain clot, mirroring the exact way a character dies in the film. But the most terrifying boldness of this curse struck a year later. Behind the scenes, the darkness followed the director home. In 1969, Roman Polanski's pregnant wife, Sharon Tate, was brutally murdered by the Manson family cult in one of the most shocking crimes in American history. The parallels were chilling. A film about a satanic cult targeting a pregnant woman was followed by a real-life cult doing the same to the director's family. Here is a haunting fun fact. The producer of the film, William Castle, received thousands of hate letters accusing him of invoking the devil. While hospitalized with severe kidney failure, he reportedly screamed in his delirium, "Rosemary, for God's sake, put the knife down!" As if the curse hadn't taken enough, years later, John Lennon was shot and killed right outside the very same building, the Dakota, where the movie was filmed. Number 5. The Conqueror, 1956. Number 5 is not a horror movie, but its production was a death sentence. The Conqueror stars John Wayne as Genghis Khan, and it is widely considered the deadliest film ever made. The boldness of the tragedy here wasn't supernatural, it was environmental. The movie was filmed in the desert of Utah, just 137 miles downwind from the United States government's nuclear testing grounds. The cast and crew spent weeks working in red dust that was literally glowing with radiation. The aftermath was a slow-motion massacre. Out of the 220 people who worked on the set, 91 had developed cancer by the early 80s, and 46 had died from it, including the director Dick Powell and the star himself, John Wayne. Behind the scenes, the studio, RKO, was so unaware of the danger that they even shipped tons of that radioactive dirt back to Hollywood to use for reshoots on a soundstage. Here's a devastating fun fact. The producer of the film, Howard Hughes, the same man from our previous list, felt such immense guilt over the deaths of his friends and crew that he bought every single print of the movie for $12 million. He refused to let anyone see it for years, watching it alone in his darkened hotel room over and over again until his death. He literally tried to bury the film that had buried his crew. Number 4. Twilight Zone, the movie, 1983. Number 4 is perhaps the most horrific tragedy ever captured on celluloid. Twilight Zone the movie was supposed to be a triumph for director John Landis, but it turned into a literal slaughterhouse. During a night shoot for a Vietnam War scene, a helicopter pilot lost control due to the heat from the pyrotechnics, causing the chopper to crash directly onto the actors. Lead actor Vic Morrow and two child actors who were working illegally in the middle of the night were killed instantly in front of the entire crew. The boldness and recklessness of the director that night cost lives. Landis had been shouting for the helicopter to fly lower and for the explosions to be bigger, despite the clear danger. Behind the scenes, this led to one of the biggest criminal trials in Hollywood history, forever changing safety regulations on film sets. Here's a chilling fun fact. Years before his death, Vic Morrow had taken out a massive life insurance policy because he had a recurring nightmare that he would die in a helicopter crash. Furthermore, the script required his character to save two children from a pursuing enemy. In reality, he died while trying to push those same children out of the way of the falling blades. The footage of the accident was so gruesome, it was used as evidence in court, and the director only narrowly escaped prison time. Number 3. The Superman Curse. Number 3 isn't just one incident, but a chain of tragedy spanning decades, known as the Superman Curse. It is believed that anyone who wears the blue suit with the S is doomed to suffer. It began with George Reeves, the Superman of the 1950s, who was found dead from a gunshot wound days before his wedding. Officially ruled a suicide, many believe he was murdered due to his ties with the wife of a powerful Hollywood mogul. But the world truly shook when the curse reached Christopher Reeve, the most beloved Superman in history. In 1995, the Man of Steel fell from a horse and was left completely paralyzed for the rest of his life. While Christopher's boldness in fighting his condition inspired millions, the shadow of the curse didn't stop there. Behind the scenes, Hollywood stars began to fear the role. Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane, suffered from severe mental health crises and was once found wandering in the woods in a state of psychosis. Even the baby who played infant Kal-El in the 1978 film died at age 14 from toxic shock syndrome. A fascinating fun fact, when filming Superman Returns in 2006, the crew faced constant bad luck. One person fell down a flight of stairs, another was robbed and beaten, and a third crashed through a glass door. Since then, many A-list stars have turned down the role, believing the price of global fame is simply too high. Number 2. Game of Death, 1978. Number 2 is the haunting final project of the legendary Bruce Lee, Game of Death. While the Lee family curse is often discussed because of Brandon Lee, who we mentioned earlier, the circumstances surrounding this film are almost supernatural in their accuracy. Bruce Lee died mid-production from a mysterious cerebral edema, leaving the film unfinished. But the boldness and the eeriness lies in the script itself. In the movie, Bruce Lee plays an actor who is targeted by a crime syndicate. They attempt to kill him by swapping a prop gun for a real one on a movie set. This is the exact way his son Brandon would die 20 years later. Behind the scenes, the studio's decision to finish the film was seen by many as ghoulish. They used actual footage from Bruce Lee's real-life funeral, including shots of his open casket, to serve as the funeral for his character in the movie. This blurred the lines between reality and cinema in a way that felt deeply cursed. Here's a chilling fun fact. In some scenes, the producers used cardboard cutouts of Bruce Lee's face taped over the faces of body doubles to try and finish his scenes. The production felt like it was dragging a ghost back to work, and the unsettling energy of the film remains a dark shadow over the Lee family legacy. Number 1. Roar, 1981. Continued. No Marshall was bitten so many times he eventually developed gangrene. The boldness of this production was indistinguishable from madness. Behind the scenes, the set was a literal war zone. A flood destroyed the equipment, a fire broke out, and the lions, who were never actually trained, constantly attacked the humans who tried to act alongside them. The film's tagline eventually became, "No animals were harmed in the making of this movie. 70 cast and crew members were." Here is the most chilling fun fact. Despite the blood, the stitches, and the near-death experiences, they kept filming. Much of the footage in the final movie shows real attacks. When you see actors screaming in terror or bleeding on screen, it isn't acting, it's a real-life struggle for survival. Roar remains the ultimate testament to what happens when Hollywood's obsession with realism crosses a line into a genuine living curse. There you have it. The 10 films where the darkness on screen was nothing compared to the tragedies behind the scenes. These stories remind us that cinema is more than just light and shadow. Sometimes it's a gamble with fate itself. But I want to know your thoughts. Do you believe in these curses, or is it all just a series of tragic coincidences? And which story from this list made your blood run cold? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this dive into the dark side of Hollywood, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss our next investigation. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and remember, some stories are better left untold.